Hello, greetings to all Pokemon fans. If you want to play Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet game into your PC, then this is the perfect video tutorial for you because this is an updated version and tutorial on how to get the game, how to install it, how to run it, and optimize it to run perfectly into your PC with no issues, no graphical bugs and glitches in it. So, what you need is that you'll need to have all of these files here that I have in my desktop. So these are all the files needed, the keys, the firmware, and the XEI file format of Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet game. And that you have the latest update also of this game. So what you need to get is that you'll need to have an installed latest build of Ryujinx Emulator. And Ryujinx Emulator is in version 1.1.647 in this video tutorial, and that is the latest and current most build for the public version. And as you can see here, I have Pokemon Scarlet and I have Pokemon Violet, and I have run it and I've played it, and it runs perfectly well as long as you have all the files needed. Okay, so for those who are new and who don't know, Ryujinx Emulator is a Nintendo Switch emulator that can play any Nintendo Switch games into your PC as long as you have all of these files here installed into your Ryujinx Emulator. So I'm going to teach you where to get Ryujinx Emulator first because this is the most important one too. So to do this, just open a web browser and just type in Ryujinx Emulator and hit search. And then Ryujinx.org is their official website. Click on that. And then go to download. And if you're using Mac device, then your Mac OS should be in Mac OS or 11 or later version in order for you to install Ryujinx. And if you have Linux, then you can download the Linux installer here. And if you're Windows, just like me, using Windows 11, then you can download it here. I'm just going to skip the download and installation process for installing Ryujinx Emulator because that is really easy to do and is really straightforward. So I'm going to skip on this now. And I'm going to assume that you have already downloaded and installed it. So if this is your first installation, boot up or run Ryujinx Emulator now. Then you'll be met with certain errors saying that you will need to have some certain files installed into your Ryujinx Emulator. So what are those files? Those files are the Nintendo Switch keys and the Nintendo Switch firmware. And as you can see here, I have two keys version. The version is version 15 and 16 because the 15 has the product keys and title keys. And the latest version for the keys only has product keys because the product keys is the only updated file in it in this firmware in this keys version, and the firmware should be in version 16 too. Now, Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet, you should have the game and in XEI file format so that it will run into your Ryujinx Emulator. And then here, this is an updated NSP files for Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet game. So that's all the files you need. So if you're asking me where to get all of these files, legally speaking, the only way that you can get all of these files is that you own a Nintendo Switch console, which is modded and has a custom firmware installed in it, because if it has a custom firmware installed in it means that you can access your Nintendo Switch system files, and those system files are the keys and the firmware files. So once you have copied all of those files, just transfer them into your PC so that you have a copy of the keys and firmware files. And in order to get Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet game, the only legal way is just to buy the game and own the game and digitally back up that game into an XEI or NSP file format, just like mine here. And then since you have owned the game, then you can get the updated files because you have a modded Switch. Then you can just copy the updates in it, then transfer them into your PC, just like how you access the keys and firmware. So if you don't own a Nintendo Switch, or if you have a Switch but don't know how to do all the things that I have said because you don't know how to mod or install a custom firmware to your Switch, then I'm going to save you the hassle and teach you where to get all of these files. In order for you to get all of these files, I'm just going to leave a QR code here and you can scan it with your QR code reader so that you will be redirected to the download page wherein you can download all of these files. Once you are in the website, just hover down into the middle part of approms.com so that you'll get the Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet game and the update in XEI and NSP file format. Just click on that and then you'll have the files. Once you have downloaded them, then the next step is to get the keys. And in order for you to get the keys is just hover down into the middle part of the page, and then you'll be able to download all those files here. So I'm going to assume that you have already downloaded all those files to your phone, then transfer them to your PC, or you can just download them directly to your PC so that you'll have a copy of all of those files into your PC now. So the next step now is to install them into your Ryujinx Emulator. So head on to Ryujinx Emulator and go to File, go to Open Ryujinx folder, and then all you have to do is just open System folder here, and then open Keys version 15 here. And just all you have to do is just drag and drop or copy and paste these files into that folder. This folder should be empty because this is your first installation. Now go to Keys. This will only have the production keys, so just drag and drop, and then it will overwrite the older key for the product key. Then close in that, then close in this folder. Now the next step is now to install the firmware. To install the firmware, then all you have to do is just go to Tools, go to Install Firmware here, install a firmware from XEI or zip file, then locate your firmware, click on that and hit Open, and it will say that you will have to install it, then hit Yes, and it will say successfully installed and hit OK. Now your Ryujinx Emulator is now fully capable of detecting and booting up Nintendo Switch games. You will know that because it will show what system version you are. Here it says version 16, and then it will show all of your Nintendo Switch games, and it will show their game icons. That's the only way that you know that you are right, because it will show the game icons for those Switch games. Because if you see a black icon or a blank icon, that means that you are using an older version of a firmware and a keys, and it will not be able to play that game. So you'll need to have and always update your keys and firmware. So what's the next step now? The next step now is to optimize your Ryujinx Emulator in order for it to play in its max performance so that there will be no glitches and bugs in playing Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. To do this, just go to Options, go to Settings, and in this part, just pause the video and copy every settings that you see here in this screen. So, in the game directory section, this is where you will put your Nintendo Switch games. It could be anywhere into your PC as long as you know where it is. And the only file formats that Ryujinx Emulator can support is an XCI and an NSB file format. That's the only format that Ryujinx will be able to play and read. Now go to Input. It is better to play Nintendo Switch games with a controller rather than mouse and keyboard because that is really hard. So what you need is just to connect your controller here via USB cable or via wireless. So I'm just going to connect my Nintendo Switch Pro controller now. Okay. Or you can connect your PlayStation or Xbox here. Go to Configure in Player 1, and then your controller will be detected. And if this is your first boot up of your controller, then you can just map them up according to your liking. And the dead zone should be set into 0.20% so that there will be no drifting in your playthrough. Once done, hit save. And go to System and just pause the video again. Just copy every setting that you see here. Now go to Graphics. This is the most important part. And graphics backend multi-threading should be on. Graphics backend API should be in Vulkan. The preferred GPU should be your dedicated graphics card. The enhancements that you enable is Enable Shader Cache and Enable Macro HLE. Resolution scale should be in 2x resolution, and because that will make the game more sharper and much more beautiful than the native resolution for the Switch. But if your PC cannot handle that, then you can just switch back to the native resolution for the Switch. And post-processing effect should be none, upscale, bilinear, anisotropic filtering auto, and aspect ratio is 16:9. Once done, hit apply and save. Now your Ryujinx Emulator is now fully optimized to play Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. So, a little bit of disclaimer, I'm just going to show you a gameplay of Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet because we all know that Nintendo is really strict on this kind of content and they don't want it to be shown on the internet or in YouTube. Because if I show you a gameplay of Pokemon Scarlet running in Ryujinx Emulator into my PC, then my channel will be taken down and my videos will be taken down. So I hope you do understand on that part. But to show you some proof that this video tutorial is working and is running and will run Pokemon Scarlet perfectly, then I'm going to show you a boot up in the title screen. Okay, so I'm going to choose Pokemon Violet here as for an example. I'm going to boot up into the title screen and I'm just going to stop the emulation from there. It's just a proof that it runs and it shows the title screen, okay? but I'm just going to blur the screen out so that Nintendo will not be able to hit me with any of their copyright strike into my video tutorials. And again, I hope you guys do understand on that part. So it's starting to boot up now. Okay, here. And the title screen is now booting. So I'm just going to stop the emulation now. And as long as you have followed all the steps that I have showed you in this video tutorial, then you'll be able to play any Pokemon game in the Switch or any Nintendo Switch games into your PC. So if you have some questions regarding the installation process of Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet and how to install everything into your PC and run them, then just leave a comment in the comment section below if you have some issues. So thank you for watching. See you next time and goodbye for now.